GST for a common man is just to go and simply tolerate tax.
Rohit Jain, he is a partner in the tax practice of ELP, Economic Law Practice, focusing on indirect taxes, direct taxes, and transfer pricing. He is law graduate from the University of Mumbai and a fellow member of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. His area of expertise include customs, excise, service tax, central sales tax, VAT laws, and foreign trade policy. He has advised various Fortune 500 companies and Indian conglomerates in sectors like financial services, manufacturing, telecommunications, oil and gas, petroleum, infrastructure projects in order to ensure smooth transition from sales tax to VAT. And he has been also involved in making representations to the Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Commerce in relation to various tax policies matters on behalf of numerous industry associations. So he is very learned faculty on the subject matter of GST. So Rohit sir, on behalf of MEA, we welcome you for today's session, and we request you to please start with your session.
Of course, thank you for inviting me for this important session of GST. English आणि मराठी की English हिंदी चालेल, मराठी पण चालेल, English ही चालेल. English is fine, right? And I can of course talk in Marathi. जिथे कुठे वाटलं मराठी बोलता येईल मी, I'll speak in Marathi as well. GST is clearly the talk of the town today. आणि रोज न्यूजपेपरमध्ये किंवा मीडियामध्ये, सोशल मीडियामध्ये, व्हॉट्सअपमध्ये, everywhere there is one actor who is playing a significant role today is the GST. What is GST really? And I was trying to put the definition of GST in my mind. So when it comes to for the industry, GST is nothing but greatly simplified transaction tax. A very simplification in terms of existing complex tax as opposed to a very simplified version of transaction tax. What is GST for legislature? GST for legislature would be goods and services tax, जे आपण सगळे ओळखतो. And what is GST for a common man? It just to go and simply tolerate tax. And जे काय tax लागणार, common man needs to tolerate that tax and take the burden of that tax eventually. While all of us are here are industry members, but ultimately we are also common man who will be ultimately taking the burden of this tax eventually, whatever it may be the tax which is applicable. Right? This is the GST for everybody. What we are really talking about. What we intend to cover is GST, what legislature is really implementing in our country. Why GST? काय गरज आहे बरं भारतात GST येण्याची? Let me just give you few examples of few points before we get into the subject. Multiplicity of taxes, narrow tax base, higher cost of compliance, lack of credit mechanism, distorted market, and a persistent litigation. Let me take few of those, okay? Multiplicity of taxes. आज भारतात इतकी टॅक्सेस लावले जातात की मॅन्युफॅक्चरर एक्साइज ड्युटी, सेल केला तर VAT, इंटर केला तर एंट्री टॅक्स, म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन मध्ये आणली तर ऑक्ट्रॉय किंवा LBT. तुम्हाला माहिती आहे मध्य प्रदेशात एक टॅक्स लागतो which is called a transport tax. And how is that transport tax calculated? समजा इंदोर वरनं पुण्यातला गाडी येण्यासाठी 500 किलोमीटर आहे and distance traveled within the state of MP, proportionate freight will be calculated आणि त्याच्यावर एक percentage 5-6% transport tax लागतो. पंजाब मध्ये we have something called मंडी tax. आणि हे जे कॉम्प्लेक्स टॅक्स स्ट्रक्चर होत गेलेलं आहे, इनडायरेक्ट टॅक्स बर्डन ऑन गुड्स अँड सर्व्हिसेस टुडे इज एनीवेअर इन द रेंज ऑफ 27 to 30% ऑन ऑल द गुड्स दॅट वी बाय मोस्ट ऑफ द गुड्स. आणि ग्लोबली हायेस्ट किती आहे? ग्लोबली हायेस्ट UK मध्ये 17.5% आणि इंडियामध्ये 27 ते 30% फक्त इनडायरेक्ट टॅक्सचं बर्डन आहे. कारण की कॉम्प्लेक्स स्ट्रक्चर झालेलं आहे आणि कॉम्प्लेक्स होता होता मग त्यात क्रेडिट मेकॅनिझम पूर्ण नाहीये, डिस्टॉर्टेड मार्केट आहे आणि लास्ट लिटिगेशन. तुम्हाला दोनच गोष्टी सांगतो लिटिगेशन आपल्या भारतात कसे होतात. वे बॅक जेव्हा ती सिरियल होती ना, सास भी कधी बहू थी आणि ह्या सगळ्या गोष्टी होतात, तेव्हा काय होतं, आमच्या सर्व्हिस टॅक्सच्या अथॉरिटीजने हे जे सगळे सिरियल प्रोडक्शन वाले आहेत, दे हॅव गिवन द नोटीस आणि काय म्हणलं की व्हॉट यू आर डुईंग इज अ व्हिडिओ प्रोडक्शन सर्व्हिसेस अँड यू शुड बी डिस्चार्जिंग सर्व्हिस टॅक्स ऑन दॅट. म्हणलं ठीक आहे, व्हिडिओ प्रोड्यूस करतोय त्यामुळे त्याच्यावर सर्व्हिस टॅक्स द्यायला पाहिजे. एका महिन्यानंतर एक्झॅक्टली आफ्टर अ मंथ ऑर सो, एक्साइज डिपार्टमेंट हॅज इश्यूड द नोटीस saying that what you buy is the blank tape. You impregnate that with the content of the serial and what you supply is the recorded tape. Now blank tape to recorded tape is an activity of manufacturer आणि तुम्ही त्याच्यावर एक्साइज ड्युटी करा. म्हणजे काय पण प्रश्न आहे, either I am providing services or I am manufacturing goods and discharging excise duty. दोन्हीपैकी एकच होऊ शकतं. We all lawyers thought, hey, what is this, you know, this is something crazy situation that I am a service provider as well as I am a manufacturer. How can that be? And then we have filed a writ petition in Bombay High Court. आणि तेव्हाचे फायनान्स मिनिस्टर जेव्हा ते वकील होते सिनियर कौन्सिल, त्यांना आम्ही बोलवलं दिल्लीवरनं आणि म्हणजे तुम्ही हायकोर्टला आमची केस फाईट करा बाबा. त्यांनी हायकोर्टला जजला इतकंच म्हणलं, आणि 40-45 मिनिट आर्ग्युमेंट झालं आणि फायनली सेड, लॉर्डशिप, at a Churchgate station in Mumbai, बऱ्याचदा तुम्हाला माहिती असेल, on the 3rd floor right hand side there is an excise department, 4th floor left hand side there is a service tax department. It's a fight between two departments. They let them tell us which tax I should pay. Should I pay service tax or excise duty? How can I pay both on the same transaction? जज ना 45 मिनिट ऐकला, व्यवस्थित एकदम झालं. 10 मिनिटांनी एकदम शांततेत विचारतो, टेल मी, आर यू नॉट प्रोड्यूसिंग द व्हिडिओज? ही सेड येस. आर यू नॉट मॅन्युफॅक्चरिंग रेकॉर्डेड टेप्स? ही सेड येस. डू वन थिंग, go right first and then go left and pay both the taxes. Finally, we went to the Ministry of Finance and got section 11C notification issued exempting from excise duty आणि सर्व्हिस टॅक्स भरायला चालू केलं. अशी आपल्या कंट्रीची टॅक्स सिस्टीम आहे. मी नेहमी जेव्हा टॅक्स सिस्टीमवर बोलतो ना, तर मला एक गोष्ट, एक जोक नेहमी आठवतो. व्हॉट इज द डिफरन्स बिटवीन बॅड लॉयर अँड अ गुड लॉयर? बॅड लॉयर ड्रॅग्स द मॅटर फॉर सेव्हरल इयर्स. ते बॅड लॉयर आहे. गुड लॉयर ड्रॅग्स इट फर्दर. हे असे लिटिगेशन आहे. भारतात टॅक्सचे तुम्हाला माहिती आहे, सुप्रीम कोर्टामध्ये टॅक्सच्या केसेस कमीत कमी 25,000 केसेस पेंडिंग आहेत सुप्रीम कोर्टात. आणि ट्रायब्युनल्समध्ये ऑल ट्रायब्युनल, वॅट ट्रायब्युनल, एक्साइज, सेस टॅक्स आणि ह्या सगळ्या ट्रायब्युनलमध्ये मिळून कमीत कमी 2.25 लाख केसेस पेंडिंग आहेत. सुप्रीम कोर्ट ऑफ आवर कंट्री हियर्स एव्हरी इयर मिनिमम 400+ टॅक्स केसेस. आणि तुम्हाला माहिती आहे का, युके मध्ये आणि US मध्ये, UK मध्ये लास्ट टॅक्स मॅटर त्यांच्या सुप्रीम कोर्टानं हियर केलं होतं माहिती आहे कधी? 4 वर्षापूर्वी. एक टॅक्स मॅटर, आणि ते एक्सेप्शनल केस म्हणून ते सुप्रीम कोर्टात पोहोचलं होतं युकेच्या. आणि आपल्या देशात दरवर्षी आपलं सुप्रीम कोर्ट 450 ते 500 टॅक्स मॅटर्स हियर करते. हे सगळे कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी झालेली आहे ना. वी वॉन्टेड टू अवॉइड. What do we therefore want? We wanted to get into a tax regime which is more simple, more clear, more certain, that mala, when I do a transaction, when I do my business, I need to have 100% clarity and certainty that this is the tax which is payable on my supply or sale. यासाठी आपल्याला GST आणायचं आहे. आणि हे जे सगळे GST चे ऑब्जेक्टिव्ह आहेत, हे सगळे अचीव होतात का? आपण लेट्स एक्झामिन दॅट फर्स्ट, की आपल्याला हे सगळे जे कॉम्प्लेक्सिटीज झालेले आहेत, आर दे गेटिंग अचीव्ड व्हेन वी गेट इनटू अ GST रेजिम. नाउ लेट्स लुक ॲट इट फर्स्ट आस्पेक्ट. GSTचं बोलणं चालू झालं की 2 गोष्टी नेहमी येतात. व्हॉट वुड बी द डेट अँड व्हॉट वुड बी द रेट. जोपर्यंत मला डेट कळत नाही आणि जोपर्यंत मला रेट कळत नाही तोपर्यंत काही खरं नाही. लेट मी फर्स्ट टॉक अबाउट द डेट ऑफ इम्प्लिमेंटेशन ऑफ जीएसटी. बऱ्याचशा गोष्टी झाल्या. माइलस्टोन इव्हेंट होता ऑगस्ट 3, 2016, जेव्हा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट पार्लमेंटमध्ये पारित करण्यात आले आणि त्यानंतर क्लॉक चालू झालेली आहे आणि विदिन 1 year फ्रॉम द डेट ऑफ नोटिफिकेशन, दॅट इज सप्टेंबर 15, 2017 पर्यंत जीएसटी लागू करणं कंपल्सरी आहे. ऑफकोर्स देयर इज अ प्रोसिजर इफ दे वांट टू एक्सटेंड, बट फार ही सोपी प्रोसिजर नाही आहे. त्यामुळे विदिन 1 year फ्रॉम द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट they will have to implement GST laws, CGST, IGST, Union Territory GST, and the compensation laws have already been approved by the Parliament, also obtained the presidential assent. State GST laws are now under way of passage. महाराष्ट्राने मे 5 आणि मे 6 ला स्पेशल सेशन बोलवलंय GST लॉ पारित करण्यासाठी. आणि महाराष्ट्र will pass the state GST law sometime in the month of May, and all the states will pass their GST laws by end of May maximum. नंतर दोन गोष्टी होतात, रूल्स आणि रेट्स. रूल्स आणि रेग्युलेशन आता मे 18च्या जीएसटी काउन्सिलच्या मीटिंग मध्ये हे रूल्स फायनल केले जातील and by end of May we will have the final set of rules and regulations. End of May parent, therefore all the laws will be in place, all the rules will be in place, all the regulations will be in place. Now thereafter what is left? One thing which is left is the rate of tax. Rate of tax, GST Council has already agreed to a broad rate structure. What is that rate structure? 5%, 12%, 18% and 28%. Which are these 5, 12, 18 and 28? The fitment formula provided by the GST Council today is that whatever is the existing tax burden, that will be the rate which is applicable. याचा अर्थ काय? The products which are liable to excise duty of 12.5 and VAT of 12.5, that is 25%, those products are likely to go into an 18% category of taxation. Products which are liable to 12.5 of excise duty and 5 to 6% of VAT will also get into 18% rate of taxation. Then we have few products which are liable to concessional rate of VAT and concessional rate of excise duty. Those will get into a 12% category. And very exceptional products which are liable to either VAT or excise duty today and have a lower tax burden will get into a 5% category. And we have left with the last category, which is 28%, which will be applicable only for sin category of goods or a demerit category of goods. Therefore, we all know that for all our products, what would be the rate of tax which is likely to come. So either it will be maximum number of products will be get covered under 18% tax regime. Few products will get into 12% and few products will get into a 5% rate of taxation. And मला माहिती आहे इथे बरेच जण रिअल इस्टेट डेव्हलपर्स, कॉन्ट्रॅक्टर्स आहेत आणि त्यांचा रेट काय? It's a big question mark. So I have put few slides on the real estate sector specifically so that we can talk on those slides as well. As of now, the broad rate structure is there for 5, 12, 18 and 28, and all of this rate structure will be in place by May 31st, and thereafter we will be left with 4 weeks, entire June, to plan for transition and then get into a GST from July 1st. Industry, of course, making lot of representations that please give us 2 more months, and instead of implementing from July 1st, let this be implemented from September 1st. Industry has filed lot of representation. GST Council hopefully decide this representation in the meeting of May 18th and 19th, and at that meeting it will be clear that whether it's a July 1st or a September 1st. And my own gut feeling, most likely it would be September 1st. Because yesterday also I was talking at one steel association, right? Thousands and thousands of members were there, and they were talking and they were so unclear about the taxes. He said, how can we implement from the 1st July? It's impossible. And they also made a strong representation. So my sense is that it may come up sometime in September 1st, but we'll have to wait and watch. So this is in terms of the rate and the date. Now comes to straight of the GST and when, what GST I need to really pay. Sabyak Pailanda, all of these taxes, be it excise duty, service tax, CVD, SAD, surcharges, VAT, entry tax, luxury tax, entertainment tax, all of these taxes will be subsumed under GST, and there will be only GST which will be applicable. This is a broad structure. Now when it comes to a GST, okay. I just put it little practical way so that you understand the subject well. When it comes to that's okay. When it comes to a GST or any tax law, we need to understand four things, right? First, when is it payable? Second, whom should I pay that tax? Third, how much tax that I should really pay? And fourth, what are the compliance requirements? Right? If I know these four things of any tax law, I know that subject very well. What are those four things? When is this I need to pay tax? How much tax I should pay, or whom should I pay that tax? How much tax I should pay, and what are the compliance requirements in relation to that tax? If I know these four things, I know the tax subject extent of 90%, which I know, and hopefully you don't need any consultant and lawyers in that equation then. What are those four things? First, when do I pay tax? Now, under GST regime, we are getting into a concept what we call it a supply. And what is the concept of supply? Let's read this definition of supply under GST. All forms of supply of goods or services or both, such as sale, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rental, lease, disposal, made or agreed to be made for a consideration by a person in the course and furtherance of business. What does it mean? That every commercial transaction will now be considered as a supply, and each such person will be now considered as a supplier. Therefore, what is the change which is happening? Today we have a concept of manufacturer and a manufacturer who is liable to excise duty, trader who is liable to VAT, service provider who is liable to service tax, contractor who is liable to VAT and service tax, importer who will be liable to customs duty, importer in the city or in the state is liable to entry tax. We have so many such concepts of a different hats that we need to look at it. Whenever we supply the goods or buy the goods, are you a manufacturer? Okay, you will give me excise invoice and VAT. Are you service provider? You will charge me service tax. Now under the GST regime, everybody will become a supplier, and a taxable event will be supply of goods or services. There is no distinction between the manufacturer and a trader. There is no distinction between the manufacturer and a service provider, except the rate of tax. But in terms of the taxable concept, everyone will become a supplier of goods or services and will be liable to same tax, what is called GST. Huge difference in the existing regime of taxation vis-a-vis the new regime of taxation, that everybody will become a supplier of goods and services. Now if everyone become a supplier, then whether you are a small supplier of a turnover of 1 crore rupees or you are having a turnover of a 1 lakh crore rupees, all of you are on the same page, because both of you are a supplier of goods or services and liable to same rate of tax. म्हणजे आपल्या या MEAच्या हॉलमध्ये कोणाचा टर्नओव्हर 50 कोटी तर कोणाचा टर्नओव्हर 500 कोटी, कोणाचा टर्नओव्हर 5000 कोटी. All of us are considered to be a supplier and liable to same rate of tax under the GST regime. And that's a big change. Everyone will now be considered as supplying the goods and services and will be liable to GST. And therefore, when do I pay tax? When I supply goods or services. But actually, when do I pay? To the government. Now we are getting into a concept of whichever is earlier. I just want to put two terms here, that when you receive the payment, or when you actually supply the goods, or services. So when do I pay tax? Whichever event is occurring earlier. Either I receive the payment or I actually supply the goods. Whichever event is early, you are required to pay tax on happening of that event. Now, start visualizing. When I sell the goods today, even if I receive some advance payment, I don't pay any VAT. I pay VAT only when I raise my sale invoice on my customer. Now, you are required to pay GST whenever either you receive the payment or you actually supply the goods, whichever event is early. So earlier of the following event, you will have to pay the tax. Now therefore, GST is required to be paid even on receipt of advance. And therefore, we will all need to plan that when do I need to really pay GST, not plan, when do I need to comply GST, whenever I receive advance. So when do I pay tax? When I supply goods or services. याच्यात एकच महत्त्वाचा schedule 1 आहे, which is what we all need to consider, which I have read it there, C point in the presentation, where activities specified in schedule 1 made or agreed to be made without consideration. काही activities आहेत which have been specified in schedule 1 which are also considered to be liable to GST even though there is no consideration. And one of such activity is the stock transfer of goods from one state to another. Therefore, whenever there is a stock transfer from state A to state B, that is considered deemed to be a supply of goods and the GST will be applicable. Clear? So every stock transfer transactions will also be liable to GST, and therefore that transaction is therefore considered as a supply and you will be considered as a supplier. का बरं असं होतं? कारण की what we are getting in our country is a dual GST. Dual GST means there is a union tax and there will be a state tax. And each state, wherever you have operations, you will have to take a registration. Therefore, a same legal entity having a registration in state A and a same legal entity having a registration in state B are considered to be a distinct person, and therefore it is considered as deemed supply. And therefore all of this stock transfer of goods from one state to another will also be liable to GST. Now don't get into what value, what is the purpose, we'll discuss that. But conceptually, whenever there is a supply of goods, there will be a GST which will be applicable. Now, second question, whom do I pay tax? मला हे तर कळलं की when do I pay tax, I also need to understand whom do I pay that tax. Every supply could only be of four types. Either the supply is intrastate, किंवा interstate, किंवा import, किंवा export. चार शिवाय सप्लाय असू शकतो का? असू शकत नाही. Either they are intrastate, this is interstate between two states, or it is imported from outside India, or it is exported. If the supply is intrastate, then I am required to pay CGST and SGST. And if supply is interstate or import, I am required to pay IGST, which is an integrated GST. Okay? Now the first point, CGST and SGST is likely to be the equal split. So if the rate of tax applicable is 18%, then CGST of 9% and SGST of 9%. And IGST is a combination of both these taxes, which is 18%. Okay? Whenever I sell the goods within the state, I will have to pay CGST and SGST of 9%. And when I do an interstate sale, I will have to pay IGST of 18%. CGST will go to central government, state GST will go to the state government, IGST, which is 18%, will go to central government, and then in turn will be distributed to the respective state. याच्यावर काय वाटतं तुम्हाला? Whether I sell within the state or whether I sell interstate, the tax will remain same. आणि जे इंटरस्टेटचे कन्सेशनल फॉर्म्स होते ना, फॉर्म सी, फॉर्म एफ, सेल इन ट्रांजिट, E1, E2, all of these forms have gone. Therefore, whether I sell within the state or whether I sell interstate, in both the cases the tax which is applicable is 18% tax. Therefore, there is absolutely no distinction which will be made that whether I need a local billing, VAT billing, or whether I need an interstate billing. In both the scenarios, I will have to pay the same tax, and that entire tax will be available to me as a credit, which is 18% tax. Therefore, absolutely no distinction between the what nature of supply that you are really making. And that is the purpose of having one nation, one market. That there will be no bar that, oh, I cannot sell outside the state because I will have to charge CST of 2% or 14% or 12%, which is a cost to my customer. Therefore, let me go do a stock transfer and then sell in the respective state, and therefore get into a VAT billing and VAT disputes. Not required. You can sell from Maharashtra to a customer on Gujarat. We will charge 18% IGST, or our Gujarat supplier is also selling to a customer of Gujarat, will also charge 18% GST, which is SGST and CGST. And the entire GST, whether I have charged or he has charged, will be available as a credit to the customer. So things will become so competitive. Now tax will be a neutral. All other factors, the commercial price, the delivery, the quality of the product, the vendor's reputation, vendor's credentials, all of this will become a far more important than the tax. Tax will be neutral. Nobody will have a tax advantage because I am outside the state, I am giving local billing, I am doing that, therefore I can give you concessional rate of tax, I can give you Form C, I can do this, everything is gone. So whether you sell intrastate or interstate, it will be effectively the same rate of tax which will be applicable. I don't want to make it further complex, but how do we decide what is intrastate and interstate? A sope concept है क्या? Today there are so many disputes which are at ELP. I must tell you, more than 200 plus cases would be pending, only deciding where VAT authorities are saying that what you have done a stock transfer against Form F. It is actually not a stock transfer, it is a predetermined sale and you should have paid CST to my state. Further complications, you know what are the complications? I don't know how many of you are the contractor today. If anybody is in the business of contractor, I am in Maharashtra, I get a contract from a customer in Andhra Pradesh. I do everything, project gets executed in Andhra Pradesh. I do stock transfer of material from Maharashtra. Which tax I need to pay? You are required to pay CST today because goods are occasioning the movement of goods from one state to another state. And therefore you are required to pay CST. जसं तुम्ही महाराष्ट्रामध्ये CST भरता, आंध्र प्रदेश वाली वैट अथॉरिटीज म्हणते कि project is executed in my state and you are required to pay VAT in my state because situs of sale is in my state. हे जे disputes आहेत ना, stock transfer है कि predetermined sale है, should I pay CST, should I pay VAT, all of these disputes are likely to go. What do you need to really look at it? I need to plan this nicely. What is the location of supplier and what is the place of supply? If location of supplier is in state A and place of supply is in state B, it is interstate. If location of supplier is in state A, place of supply also is in state A, price renegotiate करून whatever saving that they will get, that will have to be passed on to us as a benefit. आणि हे फक्त CST बद्दल नाहीये बरं, there are a lot of other taxes. आता मी तुम्हाला एक एक्झाम्पल फक्त देतोय ट्रेडरचं, ठीक आहे? फ्रॉम द ट्रेडर, बरोबर आहे? तर तो मला काय करतोय, 100 रुपयावर 12.5% वॅट लावून 112.5 ला विकतो आणि हे 12.5चा मी सेट ऑफ घेतो आणि माझी लँडेड प्राइस विल बी $100. बरोबर आहे? पण हे जेव्हा 100 ला विकतो त्याने त्याच्या मॅन्युफॅक्चर कडनं विकत घेतलेलं आहे आणि समजा ते 80 रुपयाला विकत घेतलेलं आहे. त्या 80 रुपयावर त्या मॅन्युफॅक्चररनी त्याला 12.5% एक्साइज ड्युटी लावलेली आहे. फॉर द सेक ऑफ कॅल्क्युलेशन समजा 10 रुपये आणि त्याला वॅट लावला समजा 10 रुपये. हे 10 रुपयाचे त्याने सेट ऑफ घेतला अगेन 12.5. पण हे 10 रुपयाची जी एक्साइज ड्युटी आहे ती त्याला सेट ऑफ भेटते का? नाही भेटत. का? कारण की ही इज अ ट्रेडर. आता जीएसटी आल्यानंतर he will, instead of paying this excise duty and VAT, he will pay CGST 9%, SGST 9% आणि हे पूर्ण सेट ऑफ भेटेल. त्यामुळे जर त्यांनी उद्या 100 तर जर 100 लाच विकलं आपल्याला जीएसटी लावून, तर जे 10 रुपये त्याचे वाचता आहेत ते कोणाच्या पॉकेटमध्ये गेले? ट्रेडरच्या. त्यामुळे आपल्याला काय करायचं? भैया तू 100 ची प्राइस आधी 90 कर आणि त्याच्यावर जीएसटी लाव. तुम्हाला सांगतो एकही कस्टमर जो हुशार कस्टमर ट्रान्झिशन करायचा प्रयत्न करतोय जीएसटी मध्ये हा एकही रुपया सोडणार नाहीये. आणि काय होणार हो? आपले कस्टमर आपल्याकडनं रिकाउंट करतील, आपले वेंडर आपल्याला पास करणार नाही ना, आपण म्हणतो सँडविच झालं मस्त. Customer has recovered whatever non-creditable taxes to customer in the price. Vendor has pocketed themselves in their pocket without passing on a single rupee reduction to me. Will that be workable? Will not be workable at all. Therefore, it's a huge change, huge opportunity that we all need to really use to renegotiate prices. Renegotiate prices from the supplier. Apart from this, most important other thing is now also you need to start planning your procurement. You don't need to only buy from within the state. जर तुम्हाला महाराष्ट्राच्या बाहेरचा कोणी सप्लायर चांगल्या भावात, चांगली क्वालिटी, चांगल्या क्रेडिट टर्मवर, आजच्या रेटमध्ये पैसे फार महत्वाचे आहेत बाबा, जे चांगली क्रेडिट टर्म त्यांच्याकडनं मी विकत घेणार, सिंपल देत असेल तर टॅक्स इज अ न्यूट्रल. टॅक्स तुम्हाला कुठेही अडचणीत आणणार नाहीये. वेदर यू बाय विदिन द स्टेट किंवा वेदर यू बाय इंटर स्टेट, you will have to relook at all your procurement so that you now plan nicely your. And हे जर आपण करणार नाही तर आपले कस्टमर नक्कीच करणार. We will have to be prepared for our customers also की आपण कसं कॉम्पिटिटिव्ह राहू when I sell the products to them. Very important event which is happening in the businesses as far as GST is concerned. हे इम्पॅक्ट झाला मॅन्युफॅक्चररवर. त्यामुळे लेव्ही ऑफ सीएसटी नाहीये, एमआरपी कन्सेप्ट नाहीये, कॅश फ्लो इम्पॅक्ट येतोय, नो सेनवॅट क्रेडिट रिव्हर्सल ऑन अकाउंट ऑफ ट्रेडिंग ऑफ गुड्स, आणि ट्रेडिंग केल्यावर फुल क्रेडिट मिळणार, आणि डिस्कंटिन्युएशन ऑफ फॉर्म CFH whatever special valuation now from related parties. We will have to plan nicely as a plan for transition. I don't know whether there are any exporters, but schemes like advance authorization, EOU, all industry rate drawback, MEIS, SEIS, CT1, Form H, export bonded sales, हे जे export incentive schemes आहेत, those are also likely to undergo change, and we will have to be prepared for this. If anyone is here who is exporting the goods outside India, we will also need to plan in terms of their export transactions. Now comes to impact on real estate sector. Real estate sector ला सुद्धा बराच इम्पॅक्ट आहे आणि फार जास्त इम्पॅक्ट आहे. त्यामुळे तुमच्याकडे बरेचसे तुम्ही रिअल इस्टेट आहात. Look at the impact. जर सिंपल मॅन्युफॅक्चररला इम्पॅक्ट असू शकतो तर रिअल इस्टेट याच्यातनं बाहेर राहील का? रेरा 1 मे पासून, INDS इम्प्लिमेंट, GST येतच आहे, मार्केट डिमॉनिटायझेशन आत्ताच झालंय. म्हणजे एकही गोष्टी तुम्हाला ठेवली का बाकी नाहीये. मग आम्ही GST का ठेवायचा? आम्ही नाही ठेवणार, आम्ही तुमच्यावर इम्पॅक्ट आणूनच राहील. तर काय इम्पॅक्ट आहे GST? आजच्या डेटला when it comes to a developer, you when sell the flat you pay VAT of 1%, service tax of 4.5%, आणि तुम्हाला VAT आणि एक्साइज ड्युटीचं क्रेडिट भेटत नाही. GST मध्ये गेल्यानंतर तुम्हाला GST भरावाच लागणार. आणि किती GST भरायचा? जे काय GST ऍप्लिकेबल आहे. आता महत्वाचा प्रश्न येतो, बाबा काय GST ऍप्लिकेबल हे तर सांगा. आणि तिथे आता महत्वाचे बरेचसे मुद्दे उभे राहतात. ओके, पहिल्यांदा मी सिंपल लिझिंगचं सांगतोय. leasing of residential complex and commercial complex. Residential complex are exempt from service tax today, subject if they are not used for the guest house and all of these aspects. GST मध्ये पण बहुतेक करून रेसिडेन्शियल कॉम्प्लेक्सेस रेसिडेन्स आहेत, renting may be out of GST, but commercial complexes which are liable to today at 15% service tax will be liable to 18% GST. म्हणजे 3% कमर्शियल वर जास्त आपल्याला भरायचे. हे झाला पहिला इम्पॅक्ट. आता घ्या कन्स्ट्रक्शन, अंडर कन्स्ट्रक्शन आणि ते विकतोय त्याला काय. ते फक्त आपल्या भारतातच होऊ शकतं बघा, की तुम्ही अंडर कन्स्ट्रक्शन जेव्हा फ्लॅट विकता ते काय हो, फ्लॅट आहे. फ्लॅट म्हणजे काय, इमोबल प्रॉपर्टी. इमोबल प्रॉपर्टी असल्यावर वॅट आणि सर्व्हिस टॅक्स आणि जीएसटी कुठून आला. आहेत ना आपले सुप्रीम कोर्ट महाराज. सुप्रीम कोर्ट म्हणतायत when you sell the flat under construction it is a works contract, and therefore it is a works contract, that means it is liable to VAT as well as service tax. आणि एकदा हे वर्ड्स कॉन्ट्रॅक्ट पकडलं गेलं की तुम्हाला जीएसटी सुद्धा लागणार. सो whenever you sell the flat under construction you are liable to GST. पहिला इश्यू येतोय जीएसटी भरायचा कशावर, आणि त्यातला महत्वाचा मुद्दा आहे की लँडचं डिडक्शन मिळणार की नाही. आता लँडवर तर टॅक्स लावू शकत नाही ना बाबा, लँड इज अ सेल ऑफ लँड, त्यामुळे लँडचं डिडक्शन भेटायलाच पाहिजे. नाउ हाऊ मच इज द डिडक्शन ऑफ लँड. एक मुद्दा क्रेडाय बिल्डर्स असोसिएशन यांनी पाठवला की जी काही रेकनर प्राइस असेल तितकं तुम्ही लँडचे डिडक्शन द्या. काय गोष्टी करता, लँड रेकनर प्राइस. आणि त्याशिवाय महत्वाचं म्हणजे मी आता इफ आय बाय FSI, आय बाय TDR, ते कसं कॅल्क्युलेट करू. दॅट इज ऑल्सो असोसिएटेड विथ लँड ओनली. सो हाऊ कॅन आय गिव्ह अ डिडक्शन फॉर FSI and TDR. They say okay. Now we will look at it giving you ad hoc deduction. तर ad hoc किती, ठीक आहे 20% देऊ ना, 20% लँड आहे. Now they are looking at it, how much is the value of land which needs to be deducted, whether it is 30%, whether it's a 40%, whether it's a 50%. We are doing lot of projects for Mumbai big developers, and when it comes to us, you know, their land cost in the Mumbai side of a city is at least 50%. Punyat land is minimum 30 to 40%. They will have to give that much deduction for the land in the first place. त्यामुळे आधी आतापर्यंत लँडचं किती डिडक्शन भेटणार, this has still not finalized. It will get finalized only when the final rules are out. Now comes to second. What should be the rate of tax? And the 18%. The 18%, you look at it, 18% plus the stamp duty of 5 to 6%. म्हणजे आपल्या भारतात सारख्या देशात 18+6 म्हणजे 24-25% जर फ्लॅटवर टॅक्स लागला म्हणजे कुठे गेलं रोटी कपडा मकान. 25% टॅक्स on a sale of a flat, of course after deduction of land. Now they are examining whether it should fall into 12% category or whether it would fall into 5% category. But it is very clear that it will be liable to tax either at 12% or it will be liable to tax. It will be liable to tax either at 18% on the value of land which is to be deducted. So it is very clear that the rate of tax and a deduction towards value of land becomes a very important factor when it comes to GST. on a sale of real estate. Then there is another issue which is low housing projects. What will be the rate of tax applicable? Transitional provision becomes a very important in terms of taxation under the GST. Transitional provisions means if the inventory is ready, if my flats are not yet sold, flats are under construction, and if I sell those flats after GST being introduced, what happens to the taxes which I have already paid? Because I have paid excise duty, I have paid VAT, which is not available to me as a credit today, and I am constructing a flat under construction and selling only after GST is introduced. I will be required to pay full GST, of course, after deduction of land value. There is a provision that you may be entitled for these credits of excise duty and VAT, which is paid against your GST liability. So transitional planning also needs to be done properly when it comes to real estate. And the last point there is that input tax credit. Today we are not entitled for excise duty credit, neither VAT credit, and we go for a composition scheme of 1%, and we go for a service tax also under the abatement route. Under the GST regime, entire credit will be available to you of whatever excise duty you pay, or whatever CGST you pay, or SGST you pay. And therefore, we will have to plan all the real estate costing in that manner. And now what are these real estate costing? Now let's take an hypothetical example. If I buy a flat of 1 crore rupees, I have a VAT of average 8.5%, extra composition scheme 1%, excise duty 12.5%, service tax after abatement 4.5%, GST rate assuming 12%. Then आज 1 crore वर there is a VAT which is collected at 1%, which is 1 lakh rupees. Service tax collected at 4.5%, so 4.5 lakhs rupees. Against this 5.5 lakhs, there is a likely tax, assuming we consider on 70% value of land, 12% GST, it will become 8,40,000. So from existing 5.5 lakhs of GST or a tax, it will get to 8.5 lakhs or 8,40,000 as a tax liability. Therefore, increased by 2,90,000 of a 1 crore rupees of a flat, almost 3% increase on the output tax. काय करतील सगळे डेव्हलपर्स आणि बिल्डर्स, बाबा टॅक्स वाढला 3% जास्त दे. आपण काय करणार, कॉमन मॅन जे डेव्हलपर आहेत ते सोडू ना, आमच्यासारखे कॉमन मॅन काय करणार, बाबा तुला आज क्रेडिट भेटत नाहीये, आणि कितीचं क्रेडिट भेटत नाहीये, तुझे एक्साइज ड्युटी पेड मटेरियल घेतलं 1 करोडच्या फ्लॅटवर अंदाजे 20 लाखाचं 2.5 लाख रुपये, 20 लाखाच्या मटेरियल तू 8.5 लाख रुपये टॅक्स दिला, म्हणजे 1,70,000 रुपये. तर आज तुला 4,20,000चं क्रेडिट भेटत नाहीये. ते तुला अंडर GST regime you will be entitled for 100% credit. So there is an increase of tax by 3% on output side, but decrease of tax cost on a project side by at least 4.2%. Therefore, ideally, no developer should come and ask me to pay more tax. पण हे शक्य नाही ना सगळ्या केसेस मध्ये. त्यामुळे एक थंब रूल आम्ही काढलाय. We have a lot of working for many of our developers. Thumb rule: if your construction cost is in the range of 20 to 25%, you are neutral. If your construction cost is less than 25%, then you will have to go and collect higher tax from the customer. If your construction cost is more than 25%, then you are a beneficial one. You don't need to collect any tax from your customer. Now 25% म्हणजे आजपर्यंत जे तुमच्या इकडे सांगतात की आम्ही ही फॅसिलिटी देऊ, हे अमेनिटीज देऊ, हे कन्स्ट्रक्शन कॉस्ट असते 10-15-20%, 1,000-1,500 रुपये स्क्वेअर फीट. Where sale price of a flat is 8 to 10,000 in Pune. I am not talking about Mumbai. So depending upon how much is the construction cost, that will decide what is the impact on you under the GST regime. And the other aspect is that how is the transition getting to be impacted? How much of the goods that you have bought pre-GST, how much is lying in the inventory, how much is that you are selling after inventory? Now comes to the last aspect of mine, which is what are the compliance requirements? What are the compliance requirements? First of all, you will have to take the registration. The second one, you will have to file one monthly return for outward supply, one monthly return for inward supply, one combined return on 20th of the month, and one annual return at the end of the year. So total 37 returns annually under the GST regime. हे बघा तुम्हाला ते काय कारभार चालू आहे, 37 returns. But if you really compare today, it is not actually much. Like as a manufacturer, we also file excise returns, we also file VAT returns, we also file service tax returns, we also file LBT returns, we also file if there are additional taxes like import related, export related benefits we are claiming like foreign trade policy returns. As compared to that, these are only less number of returns. But when it comes to a trader, this 6 महिन्याला एक रिटर्न किंवा 3 महिन्याला एक रिटर्न फाइल करतात. Now they will have to file 3 returns per month. आणि हे काय रिटर्न्स येतो? एक outward supply. So you will have to file on 10th of the month first. Outward supply. म्हणजे how much supply that you have made to your customer, invoice wise details will be uploaded in the GSTN network. So you will have to file for the first 10th of the every month outward supply return. Then 15th of the every month you will have to file inward supply return. That from where have you bought these goods. आणि 20 तारखेला there will be a periodic return जेव्हा ते मॅचिंग होईल. तुमचं इनवर्ड आणि तुमच्या सप्लायरचं आउटवर्ड मॅच व्हायला पाहिजे. And therefore when it gets matched, then only you are entitled for credit. त्यामुळे every vendor from whom you are buying the goods will have to upload every sales invoice properly in his return which he files monthly. If he does not file, your credit is gone. Similarly, if you don't file the return appropriately when you upload the return and you don't reflect appropriately, that your customer who is buying from you will also lose the credit and he will not pay you this 18% tax. Many of our clients are now evaluating a policy that either I will pay that 18% tax only if I see that in my GSTN network. It will become like a bank cash ledger account. Bank balance. तुम्ही डेबिट केला, क्रेडिट किती झालं, जोपर्यंत मॅच होणार नाही तोपर्यंत तुमच्या कस्टमरला क्रेडिट भेटणार नाही. This will become like a cash ledger account, and at that stage many of our clients, I was saying 3 things they are evaluating. 1, I will not pay this 18% till I see in my GSTN network you have uploaded this. Second, otherwise I will, please keep me a deposit of 18% with me. Average business that I do with you in a year of say 10 crore rupees, 1 crore rupees is per month, 18% tax, please keep 20 lakhs of deposit, or please give me bank guarantee of 20 lakhs, or assure me that otherwise you will upload this return properly, regularly. Any non-uploading of return will not be entitled for your customer a credit of 18%. Now apart from that, one more aspect here, and they will not stop it here, right? They will say also one more provision, that you will have to pay to your supplier 18% tax and the supply price within 6 months. If you don't pay within 180 days to your supplier, then you will have to reverse the credit what you have taken with interest. Now there is a statutory credit periods defined for the supplier, 180 days, which is 6 months. So you will have to pay within 180 days a payment to your supplier, then only you will, that credit which you have availed is fully secured. If you don't pay, then you will have to reverse the credit. So it's a good or bad, right? At least जे देत नाही 6-6 महिने पैसे ते पैसे देणं चालू करतील, 18% वाचतील माझं विथ इंटरेस्ट. आणि जे देतात वेळेवर त्यांना तर घाबरायचं काम नाही ना. They are anyway paying the money. I need to really comply with that 18% rule within 6 months. So it's a good and bad both. म्हणजे कोण कोणाला काय सांगतंय कळत नाही. एकदा husband and wife was sitting in a gallery early morning or late evening, and wife was having wine, and out of the blue moon suddenly she said I love you. Husband ला shock झाला, काय झालं बाबा? Husband विचारते politely त्या wife ला, is it wine speaking or you are speaking? तो बायको म्हणते of course I am speaking but not to you, to wine. So कोण कोणाला काय सांगतंय, कोण काय करतंय, it's not very clear. 180 days is 180 days. You will have to make the payment and take this credit. If a matching concept like draconian suddenly last week one rules have got noticed, it is e-way bills. That every movement of goods, whether intrastate or interstate, for the worth of goods above 50,000, there has to be electronic way bill, needs to be generated from the system and needs to be carried along with the transporter. It's a really huge compliance burden that you cannot transport the goods from one place to another above 50,000 value without the e-way bill. शक्य आहे का भारतात? पण शक्य झालंय आता इलेक्ट्रॉनिक वर्ल्ड, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक स्टफ, and you will have to now comply with this electronic requirement and computerized system, that every movement of goods from one place to another above 50,000 you will have to generate e-way bills. Last, I wanted to conclude, therefore a lot of things that we discussed, they are throwing lot of opportunities, and if therefore O stands for opportunity, it was absent in the word yesterday, it is once present in the word today, it will be present multiple times in the word tomorrow, and use this opportunity to efficiently plan our business, efficiently become more competitive, efficiently run our show of the business as far as tax is concerned, and this is the unique opportunity that we are getting in terms of tax reformation in our country. Thank you very much. It was pleasure.